Alright, few items that are back in stock in the stash shop. The link to the shop is down in the description also. The grey Unipin fine liners, the dark grey ones, and also these lovely teeny weeny brush nib fine liners are also back in stock. We also have our sandpaper sheets for sharpening up your pencils, graphite, charcoal, shaping your blending stumps, cleaning them off too. Pocket colour wheels back in stock, really handy for picking out colours, deciding on a theme or colour palette for your artwork. And a whole stack of the sketchbooks and paper are back in stock. These little guys here, so these are the watercolour postcards, little pads of those chunky, square, small sketchbooks, and also the medium ones. A5 portrait watercolour journals, these are very, very popular indeed, and very good value for money also. Lastly, I actually ordered this by accident, realised it was the wrong size afterwards. I have A6 landscape watercolour journals, so these are exactly the same as these other ones, it's just a really cute format. I have kept one of these for myself because this is my kind of size for being out and about and painting, because I can put this in a jacket pocket when I go and walk the dogs. So all that is back and available in the stash shop. If you fancy any of it, please head over there. There's also some used items at bargain prices as well, so if you want to do a bit of an Aladdin's cave, you like to have a little dig about, you can check out the used section as well. On with this video. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Colour Cave, where we like to play with art stuff. Clearly we also like watercolour sketchbooks, but that's a story for another time. We are back with this Scrawlrbox and the Scrawler Challenge of Organic Origins. I am actually worried about this. This has been on my mind since I decided what I was going to do, which I described in the last video. The link to that's down in the description if you haven't seen the unboxing video. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to execute this properly and well, I suppose. I'm still going to try though, even if it goes horribly wrong. Well, I don't know, there might be a lesson in it. So, in addition to the box supplies here, and this was a little bit of mixing we did in the last video, I have water in varying capacities. I've got a little squishy squisher, that's my paint puck for cleaning my brush off, an F pencil to do some sketching. Most of the challenges from the various subscription boxes say it's okay to use a pencil. I absolutely need one in this instance. Normally I don't bother when I'm painting in acrylic, which is weird. I usually just like to do everything freehand, but this is going to require planning. I also have a secondary brush. I am not going to be painting the image with this brush. This is an old craft brush. You can see the bristles are a bit knackered on it. That's just to mix my paint, because we're going to be mixing a lot of paint, and for that reason I have the Giant Jill palette. This is called the Giant Jill palette because a lovely lady called Jill gave it to me, and it's giant, not because Jill's giant. Thank you once again, Jill. I use this all the time. This was such a lovely and thoughtful gift. So yeah, I'm a bit stressed out about this, but we are going to try our hardest. I am by no means a competent painter. I am a pencil monster, as most of you know, but we are going to try and create what we've thought about for this Scrawler Challenge of Organic Origins. Scrawlrbox did actually chime in the comments section under the unboxing video, and I have pinned their comment to the top because they came to tell us about the situation with the paper. There was a mix-up, it was like a cross-communication regarding the type of paper, and what they were saying was something that I'd never thought of, is it's very difficult to let people know about stuff like that without actually spoiling the surprise of what's in the box, which is why they didn't say anything. So that makes a lot of sense. So what I've decided to do is I've decided to use the back side of this paper, so we're going to use the bum of the paper, because this side is a lot smoother. Remember I talked about the pyjama stripes in the unboxing video? There are no pyjama stripes on the back. Well, they are, but they're absolutely minimal. So the paper thing really isn't an issue. It was just a bit confusing to read it in the magazine, but absolutely no harm done there. So the first step that I am going to do is to sketch out a rough outline of an owl's face so that we can start to place our leaves. I can't do that until I've got eye and beak placement and things right. So I just want to block in some shapes first of all and make sure that I'm happy about placement, because that is probably one of my weakest areas. So I'm just going to mark out some areas where there's going to be a differentiation in feather colour. Okay, so got a rough shape here. The first thing that I think is sensible is to put the eyes in. I've had to shut the blind. I know this is giving like quite a sort of orangey glow to things here, but the sun's dipping in and out behind the clouds, and it's causing me issues here. So now the good thing is, because these paints are opaque, we can layer over the top of them. It might take a couple of layers over the black marker here specifically, but we can get it done. So we got one great big eyeball, and this one isn't just going to be quite as big because it's tucked in behind this part of the nose here. This is a very distinct line. I thought that would have been featherier, but it seems that these the feathers on the nose, they seem to grow this way. You know, so like that would be like the you know, the peak of the nose running, like the ridge of the nose, that's what I'm trying to say. But I expected this line at the eye here to be a lot softer. Okay, so the next thing that I want to decide on is where the darker and the lighter areas are going to be, because that's going to determine how I mix my paints and what colours I use where, because obviously we're not going to be traditional owl colours here. So there is this section here, and there's actually quite a bit that comes out here, and this is darker and it kind of shapes this nose area, but on this side we can only see a tiny little bit of it around the eye area. Then we've got a secondary darker patch of grey, what I would say is grey feathers, and that extends all the way out round to here. So this is a darker area. On this side it looks more like, yeah, this kind of comes up here, so that's darker. And then we've obviously got this pattern browny feathers there, and then this part's really dark in here. And then we've got these little ridges of the chin area is going to be interesting because there's lots of little feathers here. So that means lots of little leaves. And then I need to think about the direction of these feathers as well. So from the eye, they're coming down the way. So I think first of all that I want to make the beak one single leaf. And I think the best way to do this is to start off by just mixing a couple of types of greens. I'm only going to use small amounts of paint at a time because this stuff will dry out, and I am going to be notoriously slow here. Like, this is going to be a really slow process, which is why I wanted it as a second video. So just from the point of view of things not drying out and wasting paint, I can spritz it, but you can only do that so many times before it starts to you'd actually dilute the paint. The other thing you can use is paint retarder. I do have some, but for the purposes of this, obviously in the spirit of the challenge, we don't want to be doing that. We have a blockage. I had just a wee bit of a blockage there. That's resulted in me having more white than I need. And I'm not going to spread out the marker, but we'll use that as and when. Now the beauty of this is if we do mix a dark colour, we can then use the white to lighten it and use it in different areas. So I did say at the time, I was so happy that we have a white. I really am happy that we have a white. So let's take this blue. Let's just go in this well here. That's as good a well as any. So that's given us this kind of viridian hue, which I liked a lot. And then I just want to darken it down. Want to take the tiniest little scoop of black. Now a little of the black goes a long way. Right, and there we go, look at that colour there. That is absolutely stunning. And I'm going to use this for the beak. So part of the challenge in this is going to be in the actual execution with this particular paintbrush, because obviously it's very angular, but do you know what, I'm okay with that. So I'm going to give this another layer, and then I'm going to let it dry, and in the meantime this is going to be drying as well. So we're going to then add in the veins of the leaf, and this time we're going to add a little bit of white to this. Okay, a lot of white. So obviously I'm thinking about this as a colour for some of our much lighter areas. Okay, so you can see where I'm going now. If I zoom in there, you can see how this is going to go. This is the idea here. And basically just start to put in some of these areas here. So obviously these are going to look more like the ends of leaves, but that's absolutely fine because obviously we're going to build this up in layers, and this is what I'm saying, like, this is going to take time. I need to try and keep this very straight line as well that I wasn't expecting. What's really interesting for me with this, I'm going to have to be careful here, the pattern and the direction of the feathers is very similar to the pattern and direction of fur on cats and dogs' faces as well, which obviously I am much more familiar with in terms of painting. So that's it. This makes the job a bit easier for me here, because obviously it's a bit more of a familiar thing for me. So yeah, that's kind of made me a little bit happy. This ridge actually as well, see this, now I've never noticed about this because our little barn owl in the shed, in the cow shed, we're never close enough to him. He's always sitting away up in the rafters, you know, up in the eaves. And I've never been close enough to notice that this ridge of fur that runs down his nose actually starts at this heart shape, like it actually does, which is crazy, but it's kind of cool. So he's got like a little mohawk on his face. Oh, I'm going to call him Mo, that's going to be his name. So we're really going to work on building that ridge now that I've identified that. And I'm going to actually go to a lighter colour of paint after this. What's left of this really dark colour that we used for the beak, I've got it just off to the side here. I can maybe zoom out a little bit, you see it? Yep, down here. I'm going to add a tiny squidge of white to that as well. But this is just another really interesting shade that we've got going on here, so also keeping it quite moist. Actually going to dilute out this colour, so like a really light wash, just to take away the white of the paper. So this is the darkest area. I don't know if this is actually a thing in acrylic painting or not. If any of you are accomplished acrylic painters, obviously I am not, I would love to hear if that's a thing. And I suppose really I should do the same thing over the entire image more or less before I actually get to work. And it kind of makes sense, and I don't know why it didn't occur to me before now, why I'm not doing that right now with this, especially since this is such an unknown quantity to me. I don't really know what I'm doing. I haven't really planned this out, just kind of going by the seat of my pants, you know. So it would make sense that this would be a thing. There is another pip here I can't be doing with this dog's hair. She is casting like crazy for no reason at all. Absolutely no reason. This has made me a little bit more comfortable in actually working on this now. I'm going to use a similar type of leaf pattern as I have for the nose here, and I'm going to keep the more sort of exotic shapes for other areas of the bird because I need this to look relatively smooth. I'm kind of indicating where the lighter areas are. Okay, the other thing I'm doing here is I'm just giving myself a little rest from these leaves right now. I'm taking my black pen here and I'm just putting a tiny little bit on the end here because I do want to add in details, and the pen itself, the brush is far too thick. Whereas the tip of this is absolutely delightful for this. So I am essentially going to use my brush as kind of like a fine liner. I'm not going to outline the whole piece, but it helps to break things up because obviously I'm dealing with quite a lot of green here, and if I need to define an area, that is the perfect place to do it. Okay, so we've got a first layer here, and these are the lightest areas on the face that I have done. So what we want to do, well, what my plan was, it's not been a very good plan if I'm honest, is to grab some more white, and we'll take off the mixing brush first. Obviously we'll use that up. I'm just going to start filling in and going over some of this, and I am managing sort of to keep that ridge alive. This is very therapeutic today. It's actually more relaxing than I thought it was going to be, I'm not going to lie. I was going to be like, oh, this is going to be terrible. And kind of do the same thing just with the darker colour. So we want to keep this smooth, and we're going to use some more interesting leaf shapes on some of the facial features and these areas around the eyes. So it's quite important that we try and keep everything else to a minimum, because what we don't want is we don't want it to be so busy that it detracts from the actual features of the owl and we end up with an unrecognisable image. That wouldn't be particularly good. So I'm just filling in the areas around the eyes, kind of like I did at the top here, with a slightly darker shade. Again, it's really just to get away from the white of the paper. We're going to be working and building this up and using some different colours here too. Okay, the next colour we're going to use is going to be quite blue based. There's only going to be a tiny squidge of yellow and white in it. Okay, so you can see the ratio of blue to yellow there. And I'm hoping this is going to give me quite a nice turquoisey colour. We shall see. The good thing is we can adjust it accordingly to suit our needs. Okay, so I'm just mixing a turquoise colour here for the eyebrow areas, and it's a wee bit too dark for my liking, so I'm just trying to lighten it up with some white. And this is because I want to use the neat blue over the top of it for actual eyebrows. My point here is that although this is a very incremental process here, this is like the third splodge of white that I've added, so that I can get it right where I want it. As time goes on, if you use the same supply, the same set of paints over and over, you get to know the ratios of how much you need of each to get where you want to go, if that makes sense. Whereas just now, I am not really very familiar with these. I've used the Cinelli, the pink one before, and that is it. Okay, I think I'm there. That is a really nice shade of turquoise, and that's like 3 parts blue to 1 part yellow to 1 part white. Ended up being 2 parts white. If we have a really quick look at these barn owl pictures here, you can see that they have these darker, they're almost like rings around their eyes and down the side of their noses. That's what this turquoise colour's for. So this is going to be fun. And yeah, it's going to be quite a drawn out process because obviously it's going to be foliage. So off we go. So this pattern is going to go all the way down the side of the beak and up round where I have coloured these areas. And once they're dry, I'm going to go over and put another layer on. Again, just to build this up, make it nice and rich. I'm actually surprised I've not painted something like this before on account of 2 of my favourite things to art with are trees and animals. I really should have thought of this before now. Maybe this is going to be my thing. Maybe this is going to be my niche. Because I've always maintained that not only do I not have an art style, I don't actually have a sort of set art subject that I tend to paint either. So this might be it. Okay, so that's like the darkest bits there. And it kind of comes up past the eye, but it stops like in line with the eye here. And we see very little of this here. Okay, so once again, I'm going to lighten this up. A lighter incarnation. Oh yeah. This colour is really pretty. Really pretty. So this is kind of fun. Kind of enjoying myself here. Maybe enjoying myself a little bit too much. Okay, we are going to add a little bit more white again. Oh, that was way too much. I've got a defective nozzle. I do think that the worst of the blockage is out now. Oh, I should have been using my mixing brush here. Never mind. Oh, look at that. It's a pretty colour. Pretty. Okay, and then I'm going to... These areas are actually going to be darker here. But I want just this, again, this wash to take away the white of the paper. So again, like really wet, like almost see-through. So we're going to introduce the black again for these areas to try and mute down some of these colours a little bit. Okay, and these bits are going to be made up of much longer, skinnier leaves, more like ferns. So while I'm waiting for this blue to dry here, I'm just adding a little bit more at the chinny chin area. Okay, so here's what stage we're at. I have been here for about an hour and a half, which isn't that long really in the grand scheme of things. I am pleased to say that we still look like an owl. Yes, it's always a benefit. This blue colour that I've been using here, I'm going to bring this all the way around into these darker sections, and I'm going to make the area around the eyes even darker still with the neat blue, and just use the neat blue. That is what I'm going to do. I have just made a decision. I am going to be bold, and that is the way that it's going to be. And plus as well, I was having really good fun making these vine shapes. So I wonder if that's dry enough. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm okay with this so far. I'm going to have to do this area here. And when I start to come further down here, this area is going to be in shadow. So what I'll do is I'll add a little bit of black to the mixture just to mute it down. I don't necessarily want it to be really, really dark. I just need it to be darker than what's going on up here so that there is some contrast. So this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm so glad. Like, I really feel as if Scrawlrbox thought this box out, you know, very carefully when it comes to the actual colours that we've been given. Having black and white when it comes to being able to mix paint is an absolute godsend, and it gives you so much versatility even within a very limited colour palette. But the fact that they gave us blue and yellow obviously means that you can mix green, which is what they were kind of angling at obviously for the scroller challenge. So normally I'm quite sort of critical of the supplies that we've been given, especially when it comes to the thought behind how those items are going to work together, which for a long time and for a lot of subscription boxes seemed to be a huge issue. And it's nice to see that, the thought really was there with this, and someone's taken a lot of time to, go through the what ifs and ands, and that's usually me that does that. So it's quite refreshing that someone else has gone through that process and thought, well, okay. Okay, so here's the line where I'm stopping. This is like the lighter, where the lighter colour is going to stop. Okay, so there is like where I'm finishing up with that. A little bit scared here. This is the neat blue. I'm going to have to practice this on a bit of paper first. Let's not ruin things now, we're doing well. So yeah, I want to put in a line, and then I want to, see, that's not going to give me what I want. I want longer. Oh, why have I got such a broken line? I feel like that's going to be too much paint, because what I was trying to achieve there is a longer leaf without having to go back over it. But if I want that consistency, then I'm going to have this really thick line to deal with. That's a lot of paint. Now, I did do this on the practice sheet, and it did dry eventually. Like, that is knobbly bobbly. That was just a splodge, and it is raised up off the paper. But that took like 2 days to dry. So if I do this here, then I need to be mindful to not put my hand in this. Oh, I just wish I hadn't done that. Like, this is instant regret for me. See, when I'm not like 100% about something. Yeah, this is upsetting me already. Like, that's just messy. Does it even look like a branch? You tell me. I'm kind of like, I'm getting to that point where I'm blind now. Painter's blindness. I did want to use these as they were sort of intended to be used, but this is kind of, I don't know. I think I'm just going to put dots around here. I'm not brave enough to. That's coming out quite quickly as well. Oh no. But I just want to have great big, look here, that's not helping, like branches or, yeah, like that's what I was after. Like, the thing is though, I'm not going to be able to replicate on this side, and I know it. Don't ruin it for me. Yeah, look at his big eyebrows. That's exactly what I want out of life right now. That's hilarious. That's made me so happy. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Right, okay. I'm so easily pleased, like I really am. Oh boy. Right, okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, I'm just wanting to add a little bit of blue into these darker areas here, and I'm not going to try and do anything ridiculous, just on the account of I'm a little bit scared of this paint because it's very thick. So I'm just going to try and I want to bring this all the way down here because I want to have contrast. Right, okay, so we're going to add some black now. Chuck that in there. Oh, I've splattered by accident. We'll deal with it, we'll make it part of the painting. So now I just want really big, like palm frondy type. Yeah, maybe I can fix some of these now. That's now a rogue feather. There we go, I've fixed it, it's fine. So again, we're going to do the same here. We're going to do a couple of layers in here, just to build up the, this idea that it's actually feathers and not just a couple of brush strokes that's made to look like leaves, even though that's exactly what it is. Gonna give them some eye highlights. Well, hi there. They're going to take ages to dry. That whole top section is going to take ages to dry. Right, what I want to do now that I've covered most of the area, again, I'm just going to leave things to kind of do their thing a little bit. I've got this really light sky blue here. Just want to add in a little bit more here. I want to mix a slightly darker green to work on this section here and round this side here. See how that turns out. Oh, I've just had a hand malfunction. This is where having a hand injury is a total pain in the ass. Like, oh, come on. But weirdly, actually, it's maybe a wee bit too green. Oh, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with that. Maybe a wee bit of black in it. Oh God, what? I just can't today. This is quite funny though, that I was stressed out about this, as I mentioned at the start. Like, I was really worried about doing this, and you know what, I'm having a really good time. I love it when that happens. Right, let's see if I can fix this green at all. Oh, it's giving me like an olive. Oh God, what have I done? Right, do you know what, that'll do. Crap. I could make it slightly lighter, but I really need some contrast. I'm just making all the green. I'm like, let's just make all the greens now. Everything's cool. Everything's fine. Let's take a little bit of this. Okay, so my idea here is to have a little bit of contrast. And I don't want it to be like super obvious, but I need it to be in here somewhere. This brush is starting to lose its mind as well. That's happening. That's actually happening. Right, that's not made a huge amount of difference, which I'm kind of happy about, but not at the same time. So let's have this in here. This seems to be really watery as well. Why? I think as well, we're going to have to add more like dark green to that. The only thing about having this black marker is it dries super quick. Like, you've got to be really quick at lifting it back up off the palette if you're going to mix it in with something else. It's a bit stark, but if I pop an odd one here and there throughout this, you know, makes it less stark. Keep away from that edge, Gem. So that's given the idea of a little bit more shadow on that side. Okay, I feel like I'm kind of getting there now. I do think I'm going to take, I've just still got a little bit of this green on this brush, which I'm really happy about. I'm just going to add in a few more bits here. I kind of need that to be a little bit darker in there. That's cool. And also to add in a little bit here, because this section here is going to be similar colours to, whoa, up the top. Right, so we need to go back to our earlier situation and try and get this turquoise colour again. Am I able to do this? I do not know. This will probably be a testament to my mixing skills. There was a fair amount of blue. I just need to trust that my hand's not going to spasm again, because I'm going to end up with a random colour that I don't want. Okay, good. And then there was a tiny bit of white, but I ended up adding more white, didn't I? Right, okay, let's see if I can replicate this. This is like recipes by eye, like I was talking about last time. Recipes by eye. Yeah, when we were doing the clay stuff, I was talking about that as well. Oh, now. That's not bad now, because if you remember last time, I did mix in a bit more white. Oh, God. I'm getting confident in my painting skills. I can't remember how much white I added. I know this is the problem. Oh, I've got a bubble. If this isn't close, I think it's going to be close enough. It's still quite green compared to... That's not a bad thing either. I'm going to go for it. Yes, okay, let's do it. Why not? This is more turquoisey. But I'm okay with that. I'm going to have to move this palette out the way. I need to rest my arm. Let's, yeah, it's a bit more green, but it's not terribly green. Right, so what I'm going to do then is, here's my little contingency, because I've got quite a lot of this paint. I'm going to pop this in here. I'm an owl, I'm made out of grass. Look at me. Okay, does that look out of place? No, not really. Do I want to add this on the other side? Absolutely. Like, I want to add a little bit. Oh, right, okay, we're going to turn this round because I'm going to screw it up otherwise, and we're getting far too close to the end for me to screw it up. Yeah, like here. I want to add it here. Not sure what that's going to do over the top of the other blue, but do you know what? It's good. It's fine. I've realised I'm doing this upside down. I'm going to have to backwardise the way that I'm doing my foliage. Foliage. This is like a palm tree now. Okay, I'm going to have to soften this corner down because it looks as if he's got a bit of his neck missing. So I'm just going to take this, because I ended up not following my original line, it became a problem. So let's just, let's get him in there. That looks a bit more, yeah, that looks a bit more natural. Okay. Fine. The problem is I don't have any more of that green. I've only got this black colour, which, okay. I think I'm going to stop there, and I think I'm going to call it quit. That went significantly better than I thought it would. I think actually what I would do... Oh, I don't know whether I want to do this or not. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the yellow, and I'm going to water it down, and I'm going to put that as like a background colour. So I'm going to take my water spritzer here. And then just like we did before, this sort of painterly idea. So it is really watered down. It is going to be more like a wash than anything. Which is kind of, it's kind of what we want. Oh, keep away from that blue because it's really wet. Oh Lord. That was brave. That was almost stupidity. It was so brave. Right, there we go. Right, okay, that's it. I'm finished this time. That's me. I am done. I had great fun doing this, and it was a lot less stressful, excuse me, stressful than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to try and sign my name in this tiny little space in the corner, look. Yeah, this was incredibly good fun, and something a little bit different, not something that I would normally do. I've just realised that when you look at the camera, my owl looks as if he's got a really fat chin. Maybe he does have a fat chin, who knows. That's absolutely fine. I would love to know your thoughts on this piece of artwork, considering it's a little bit different to what I would perhaps normally do, and whether you think I have done this worthwhile. I would just like to point out as well, I had no issues with this paper at all, using the back side of this Canson XL texture paper, which was not the paper we're supposed to get, but it's actually not a problem at all. I would love to hear what you did for your organic origins picture. I'm quite happy that this has satisfied the prompt without too much of a tenuous link. And as you can see, the giant gel palette has done an excellent job. So that is it for today, guys. I want to thank you very much for watching. I remind you to jump over to the stash shop if you're in the market for a watercolour sketchbook. And I shall see you all back in the cave at some point during the week to pick up Colin Thompson's Doors again. So I shall see you then. Have a great day, everyone, and bye for now.